Hey book pals, I am back and today I am going to show you my top reads so far for 2025. I do want to preface this by saying that I would love to say that I'm picky about my 5 stars, but I'm not. If I liked it, I was engaged and I giggled, cried, gasped, threw the book across the room, it's going to get 5 stars. If I felt any kind of vivid emotion at any point, other than distaste for the book, it's gonna get 5 stars. I would also love to say that I read a bunch of literary classics or things that really made me think twice about society, politics, the state of the world today, but I haven't. The truth is 2025 has been an absolute dumpster fire. I am stressed at work. I am stressed at home. I've got a kid going to law school. I've got my youngest about to go off to college. Life is stressful. So I get home from work and I really just want to get lost in a new world. And I want to read some things that are fun and sometimes read some things that are in a different world that I know all things are going to work out eventually. And so make of that what you will when you see my 5-star reads for this year, especially if you follow me on any other forum where you see that I am usually reading classics, contemporary fiction, just things that are a little more highbrow. This has not been that year for me. Hopefully I get into some of that later this year, but right now I'm just surviving book to book, cover to cover, so stick with me. First and foremost, for my 5-star reads this year, and any month that these books were read in, they have taken top spot for book of the month for me, the Harry Potter series. Now, bear in mind that I am no spring chick. I was already a full-fledged adult, married with 1 baby on the way when these things started popping up in bookstores. So I had no reason to go and purchase Harry Potter. It would have been weird for a pregnant woman, college age, to be purchasing Harry Potter. There was no social media to tell you these are great even if you're an adult. Like, no, you just didn't. Like, I would have had to go into the children's section pregnant and purchased a book this size for a baby that was in the womb. Like, it didn't make any sense. I didn't even know these things existed. I have 3 children. My middle child has had the same wonderful, beautiful girlfriend for the last 4 years. She is obsessed with Harry Potter, and I have bought into her obsession. I get her as many gifts with Harry Potter that I can. We wrap all her Christmas gifts in Harry Potter. I have fed into her obsession, absolutely. And I have finally this year decided maybe I should read these books. I mean, she seems enthralled with them. Why can't I read them? I've had students in the past that love these books. I would love to know what all the hype is about. So I started with book 1. And I tabbed things because, I am a teacher. And so I saw things that were like, this is very much written like a children's book, book 1, with, huge print, but there's, the whole page is not taken up with words. And I was like, oh, that's a clue. That's a little hint. So I'm making my teacher notes. This was a great book. I totally got swept away in this baby. 5 stars for bringing out the 12-year-old Melissa in me. I was like, I would have loved this. If I had read this as a 12-year-old Melissa, it would not have been a 42-year-old Melissa who finally picked up The Hobbit and loved it. I would have been a fantasy reader way back when. I wouldn't have a bookshelf of 500 some odd fantasy books that now need to be read at the ripe old age of 47. I would have had a head start on all this, but somebody should have not been gatekeeping this when I was in my 20s. So, anywho, loved it. I thought it was great. I was like, I'm reading this because this brings out the kid in me. And after a stressful day at work, I could get lost in all his little broomsticks and the Quidditch match. Oh, so cute. A whole new world. A whole new world again. I'm like, oh, look at him in the Chamber of Secrets. Ooh, yep. This one, the third one, I was like, okay, first of all, we're getting a little bigger. Print is getting a little smaller. And I'm thinking, the end was a little sad because I wanted something to happen and it didn't. And I was like, okay, well, every book ends with us having to go back to this Dursleys and I was a little upset about that. I got a little teary-eyed. I was a little heartbroken for him. The whole found family thing in here, like, I love it. Like, the teacher and mom in me was like, Harry. Then I get to book 4, and I was not prepared. I was not. First of all, a lot bigger. The print's getting smaller, and book 4, I'm not going to spoil it in case anybody else is like me and you're a grown person and have never read these. Please get these to a bookstore right now. I've got all the other ones up there. I'm reading number 5 now. This, tears, gasping. The last, I think, 50 pages took me about a week to finish because I couldn't get over. I thought I was reading a children's book. You know, like children's book, everything works out in the end. No. This ended on like a cliffhanger. I didn't know what the heck was happening. I had to reread things. I was crying. I felt bad for everybody. It ended with the same garbage the other ones ended in, which I was not for. And then I pick up this one. I couldn't even read it the first few nights. I'm like, why am I having such a hard time? Why are you having a hard time? Because, girlfriend, the font is even smaller. There's an extra 150, almost 200 pages in this one. And it's tiny. You can't see because you're blind, because you're old. You should have read these years ago. Can't see. It's sad as all get out. Still in the beginning, our main character's frustrated. This little boy should not be this frustrated. I'm frustrated. And I can't get enough. all that to say, I cannot get enough of this. So I'm on book 5. I should be done in like 3 more days. I'm about 30% of the way. I think my story graph said I'm 30% of the way. Anyway, I should be done in the next few days because I'm off for 4 days. So I should be done by this weekend. And I will immediately pick up the next one. Immediately. I must know what happens in this series. This is no longer a kid series, starting with book 4. So if you're reading it to your children, read slowly through books 1 through 3 and don't start this one until they're in middle school because you're going to freak them out. Anyway, any month that I finish one of these babies in, that's getting my book of the month. Absolutely, hands down, best books I've read this year. Next up is a romantasy that I did not expect to like. I honestly, judge me if you will, I don't care. I bought it for the aesthetics. The pink portion of my rainbow library was very small, and I thought they had this in white. I went to 3 bookstores to find the pink version. I bought it for the aesthetics. Look at that book. She's beautiful. The Rose Bargain. And then I picked it up because I wanted to see if the beautiful pink book was any good. Look at her on the inside too. And it was good. This is by Sasha Peyton Smith. This baby got 5 stars from me. I got wrapped up. This is like a challenge set in, it's kind of like, it's like a Regency / fantasy. It's just good. It has, there's a little bit of a love triangle in it. This is classified as YA. Okay, I know what YA is technically, but I also know that YA is something that parents sometimes purchase for their teenagers. Do what you will with your teenagers. I would not have a problem with my teenagers having read this. Well, I mean, I have 2 boys and a girl who's 18 now. I don't think my boys would have read this, but if my daughter had picked it up in high school, I would not have had a problem with it. Would I have bought this for her? Like, hey, and suggested it? No. It's got some risque scenes. It's got sex scenes in it. Like kind of closed door, but it's not something that I would pick up and hand to a student or my child and be like, oh, you're gonna love this. Like, no. But if she came home with it or like went to the bookstore and picked it out, I'd be okay with it personally. I don't censor their reading, but it's not something I would openly suggest, if that makes sense. So that's what I'm gonna say. It's YA with a little bit of action in it. Not enough to like gross me out. It was good. It ended on quite a surprise at the end. I think it's going to be a duology or a trilogy. Either way, I'm hooked enough. I thought it was a great story. The Fae are mean in this, which that's what I like for my fairies. I like fairies to be mean. Be mean. Fae should be mean all the way. So they're mean. I liked that. they like to mess with humans and like trick them and be mean and just see like how they act, like poke at them. I just thought it was great. I will be reading the second one for sure. Hook, line, and sinker. I'm in. This next book was my top read for February, and this lives rent-free in my head. This is Penpal by Dathan Auerbach. This came out in installments on Reddit, and then they finally convinced him, because people were so scared, to make it into a full novel. This is told in flashbacks, an adult telling it in flashbacks to the time he was like in kindergarten, moving forward. It's based off of like a kindergarten project gone awry, and how that affected the rest of his life and his friend's life. This book freaked me out. When I was reading this, my daughter had a trip out of town, and I had to pick her up at the airport on her way back. And so I took this book and said, I'll sit in the cell phone lot. I'll get there a little early, you know, sit in the cell phone lot until she calls me to like swing by and pick her up. It got dark while I was waiting. I had to put the book down and like doom scroll through my phone because I was freaking out. I was so scared. This book scared me, and the end is horrific. In terms of like, anytime I think of this book or I see it, I walk by and see it on my shelf, or I see it come up on somebody's TBR, or a friend asks me for like a recommendation of like a scary book, and I think about it or recommend it, probably like tonight, I will start thinking about it, and this stays like in my mind. This book crushed me. It was so good. So good. I couldn't put it down. Next up is a graphic novel, Heartstopper by Oseman. This is a graphic novel about two boys. One, our main character, Charlie. Sorry, I forgot their names, so it's been a minute. Charlie is a high school student. He is openly gay. He's come out. The school community knows it. He has a student who he's in a relationship with who has not come out, and he's trying to break that relationship off, setting some boundaries. And he meets another student who's a rugby player whose name is Nick, and they become very good friends. They kind of start developing, Charlie starts developing feelings for Nick, and the book is primarily Nick's struggle to define his feelings for Charlie. This is a really sweet book where we get to see the exploration of feelings between two characters and the exploration of sexual identity in a way that's done tastefully with respect towards both characters. I really liked how this was done. Having worked with teenagers for years, I thought that this was a respectful look at sexual identity in teens, and it was a clean, unsexualized view of sexual identity, if that makes sense. Because I think sometimes when these topics come up, a lot of people tend to sexualize it when that's not what sexual identity is, per se. I don't know how to put that into words, but in any case, I just thought that it was very well done, where they were talking about friendship and relationships and feelings, both about feelings for themselves and for each other, without making it about sex at all. And so I thought that that was tastefully done. There are, I believe, 4 or 5 more books in the series. I have ordered the whole series. It should be here either later today or not tomorrow, because it's the 4th of July tomorrow, but Saturday. So I'm looking forward to that. I thought it was really, really well done. Next up is another YA, genuinely YA romance that I was giddy for. If you have a teenager who is into romance, who is into Dungeons and Dragons, who you want a clean romance for, this is a book that I would suggest. This is a book that I would have given to any of my students back when I taught high school. or late middle school if they had wanted a romance, because it is absolutely 100% clean. I can't even say that they shared a kiss in this book. This is one that I'd feel safe recommending to anybody. It is sweet, and it is great. It talks about being responsible, and this relationship is organic. It reminds me of like all the feelings I had when I was in like young relationships, that giddiness, that nervousness, that wanting to impress other people, wanting to make other people jealous, all the things that kids naturally feel. Run, do not walk. Dungeons and Drama, Kristy Boyce. She has another one called Dating and Dragons. That's part of like the series, but they're not connected, so you can read them separately. I have started reading Dating and Dragons. It is also adorable. These books are wholesome, but they are authentic. They are authentic to teens today, and they are authentic to just the teen experience in general, like what kids these ages are feeling, and what they should be feeling, and the things that they should be exploring versus what they might be exploring, you know, which they shouldn't, but things that they should be talking about, things that they should be dealing with, and things that are normal, like being jealous, trying to impress people. All those things are normal teenage things that happen no matter where your kid goes to school. I just thought this was great, and I was literally kicking my heels. I was reading like on my tummy, like, you know, just at the end of the book, and I was kicking my heels. I felt like little butterflies in my stomach towards the end, because I needed to know what was going to happen. I stayed up late reading the last 4 chapters. It was just so cute. So cute. A lot of like talk about family, relationship. This was just great. This was just chef's kiss. Very well done. Next up is a book my sister got me for my birthday. It had been on my wish list forever. It was a little pricey. It was a hardcover. Only found in hardcover, and it was pricey for being so short, so I just had it sitting there on my wish list, and she just bought it for me, so thanks, Vanessa. 100 pages that will rock your world, sci-fi, The Tusks of Extinction by Naylar. This is a sci-fi book about bringing the mammoths back from extinction, and then unfortunately, how do we keep them alive once they're here, because they've been extinct and they don't come back with the knowledge of how to survive. And so this uses a sci-fi twist to put the brain of an elephant researcher, or the thoughts of an elephant researcher, inside the brain of a matriarch mammoth, and have her kind of direct the herd. And so this was so well done. I put this away in one evening and could not stop talking about it for like 3 weeks. Tusks of Extinction. Again, run, do not walk to your nearest bookstore. If you can't find it, get it online. It was great. I hate that I waited as long as I did, and this will sit on my bookshelves forever. I've lent it out 3 times already. Everybody has loved it. This is wonderful, a wonderful book. The next one did not originally get 5 stars from me, but I could not stop thinking about it, and I had to go back and change my rating for it on Storygraph. This is an Argentinian author, Claudia Pinero. This was a 2022 International Booker Prize shortlisted book. It is called Elena Knows. It is currently a Netflix movie. I'm going to guess it's an international film. I haven't seen it, but to be honest, I don't watch a lot of TV or Netflix or movies or anything. My goal is to try and watch it, find it and watch it this summer. This book is 150 pages, more or less. I picked it up 2 months ago, hoping to finish it in a night or 2. It took me 5 weeks to finish this thing. I think part of the reason is I am a fluent Spanish speaker, and the translation, it just didn't hit right. There were some things that were translated, and I spent a lot of time like trying to reword it and think like, what would have been a better way to say that to convey the sentiment that I think she was trying to convey? How would that have been said in Spanish? What was she trying to say in Spanish? And then how could it have been said in English that would have been, because I didn't feel like some of the emotions that the main character was feeling were coming through the way that I think the author meant. And so then I went on like down a rabbit hole trying to find the book in Spanish, which I don't usually read in Spanish, but I almost want to read it in Spanish because I feel like some of the sentiment was lost. Anywho, I got through it because when I got to about the last 20 pages, OMG, the whole book shifted gears. This book is about a mother and daughter who live together. The daughter is maybe in her 40s. I can't really remember if it was even mentioned. She's older. The mother has Parkinson's, like severe Parkinson's. I'm trying not to give any spoilers. She's got, like, it's pretty severe. She's got to take pills every few hours in order to make her body move. If not, she goes kind of rigid. She's many parts of her body are rigid regardless of the medication. Her daughter is her main caretaker. And at the beginning of the book, we are following the mother for an entire day as she tries to find somebody. Her daughter has hung herself. She's dead. She has hung herself from the bell tower of the church where she had worked. The mother believes that she would not have hung herself, that she has been killed. And so we're traveling with her for a day as she takes her pills and like maps out this day where she is going to look for somebody who she believes can help her prove that her daughter wouldn't have done this, because she believes that this person that she's going to find at the end of this day owes a debt to both her and her daughter. And so because of this debt that is owed to them, this person will help her. And so this is the story of that day and the debt that this person owes them, which doesn't come to light until those last 20 or so pages, and changes everything for the reader. I cannot say that I was very invested in the first half of the book, just because, like I said, I don't know if it was a language thing for me that I was struggling with, like the authenticity of the translation or the authenticity of what this mother was feeling. Make no mistake, it was worth it. These are the only books, if it was shortlisted for a Booker Prize, I have found myself struggling through what is a beginning of the book drag to end up with a 5-star read. My best book of the last, I think my best read of all time was The Same Story 2 years ago. And that would have been, what is that book called? A Spell of Good Things. That is my favorite book of all time. And that was a Booker Prize 2 or 3 years ago. And it was a drag at the beginning. And once it took off, Inwalla lives rent-free in my head forever and ever. That main character has my heart and soul. And I think that this book, Elena Knows, is another one of those that's going to stick with me. So if you either want to read it or look for it on Netflix, it is well worth the drag at the beginning of your maybe your first 100 pages for the last 50. It was really good. Be prepared to challenge yourself on what you think about mothers and daughters, what you think about people that you think you know, what you think you know about what's right and wrong, what you think you know about forgiveness and redemption, what you think you know about religion, what you think you know about current day politics and hot topics. This was something. The next book is a stand-in for one that I have lent out, and so I'm going to give you the second book in the series, but another 5-star read for me. It was my best book of January, was Fourth Wing. So I have Iron Flame. My only complaint about Fourth Wing was there was a lot of sexual content in that I thought was unnecessary, which I know a lot of people thought that was the best part of it. Kudos to you if that was you. I'm not knocking it. Everybody reads for a different reason. I loved Fourth Wing for the dragons, and for the school vibe of it. I liked the academia part of that novel, and I loved the dragons. That banter between the dragons and the writers, and just Sorrengail's relationship and character development with her dragons. I thought the character development of her as a fighter per se was a little bit flawed, but I still gave that book 5 stars because it made me fall in love with dragons. I didn't think that was something the kind of fantasy that I liked, and it is. I love those dragons, and I am all for them, and I can't get enough of dragons now. I am looking forward to Iron Flame because I hear a lot of people don't like this one, and it's because there's less of all that smut and all that, and there's more of the political intrigue, and I'm hoping that there is, because I'm more of an epic fantasy reader, and I'm hoping that I get a little more of that in this one. I think that that's what people don't like too much about this one and Onyx Storm, so I'm hoping that I get that in these so that I can continue to love the series. Because if it's just a lot of pining over the same guys and his buttocks look so cute and blah blah, I mean, that's fine. I just don't know that I can do that over and over again if there's not more meat to it, if that makes sense. There's nothing wrong with sex in books. Again, I'm okay with it. It didn't disturb me in that book. It's just that, like, it got to chapter upon chapter where it was just lightning strikes everywhere, and we were having a grand old time. But I was like, there's also like a war. I'd like to know what happens with the war. Can we get back to the war? So it's not that I have a problem with it. I'd rather read something else. Next up was Sally Hepworth's Darling Girls. This was a surprise to me. I'm not a huge thriller reader anymore. This is one of 2 thrillers that I have on my 5-star reads for the first half of the year. I used to read horror and thriller and classics almost exclusively. Classics because I'm an English lit, so that's, it was a given that that's what I was going to read. So I've read so many thrillers that I've kind of laid off of them. But a lot of times the thrillers are the only thing that's good on my book of the month choices. So I also have like a huge backlog of book of the month books. So I picked this that I was backlogged from last year. I hadn't read it. I picked this up early in the year and I loved this. This takes place in Australia. It's about some foster girls that have grown up. They consider themselves sisters. They grew up in the same foster care home. And well, actually, they didn't grow up there. They were there for a few months together. One had more time there, the oldest one. And they get called by an investigator that home the land has been excavated because they're putting up like a fast food restaurant or something there, and they have found some bones. And so they want them to come in for some questioning, and the story starts to unravel from there. This is a tale of like survival and coping after an abusive situation in foster care. There are some twists in it. This is also like found family. These 3 women who clung to each other when all else was lost. This is a story of love and redemption, and I also think it was such a sweet tale in some parts of like what you would do, not just for each other, but for others like you. There's like a big emphasis on like what these girls did for other kids that came to that foster home. And it was, I thought, having worked with so many kids that have been in situations, not exactly like this, obviously, this is like a very exaggerated case, but having been in situations where I've worked with kids who have been in foster care homes or have been in homes where they weren't taking care of, like the care they give to other children, is always so harrowing. And I really appreciated that part of this book. I really liked that book more than I thought I would. I have also a book of poems, Gay Girl Prayers. This is Emily Austen's book of poems. I picked this up in Chapel Hill's Epilogue. It's a little independent bookstore, and this little book of poems, I always try to pick something, 1 or 2 books during Pride Month. I always try to have at least 1 book of poetry during Pride Month that I buy. This year's was not a disappointment. This one, I think some people might find it offensive. It does use like common Catholic prayers and kind of restates them in ways to be more inclusive. But I do think that it also honors some biblical truths in it. So take it at face value. I thought it was well done. There were a lot of, she's also throughout telling one poem, she writes one poem over and over again, where she just changes one or two words in it, or like a one line in it, and it's kind of like throughout she's telling kind of the story. I feel like it might be her story. It was an interesting read. I thought her poetry was really well written. Next up is a horror. I think it is it my only horror on this? Oh no, I have Penpal as well. Oops, I forgot Penpal. This is my second horror on my list of 5-star reads. It is Blood on Her Tongue by Johanna van Veen. This was an Aardvark purchase. This was so good. It is classified as a vampiric horror, but is it? This is about two sisters. One is married, gets sick. Are they twins? I think they are twins. Maybe. Yes, they are twins. They're twins. One is married. The other one gets word that from her husband that she is very ill. You know, can you come and help take care of her? And so she does. And when she gets there, she is not well. Like the other twin she's very ill. And she, I don't know if that's, I don't want to give too much away. Listen, she's like really not well. She is classified as being temporarily insane. I was about to say something, but I don't want to. She's hiding something. Oh. Okay, it doesn't say what I was going to say. So she's hiding something. She becomes terribly hungry. Like terribly hungry. I mean, it's classified as a vampiric horror. It has a little bit of cannibalism as well. But I'm going to let you know it's not really a vampire per se. This is a messed up book. But I want to say that it's got elements of found family in it. It's got elements of like this book is about the power of sisterhood, the power of forgiveness among sisters. It is not just a horror. This book is not a horror. It is classified as a horror. There are horrific things in it. This book is not a horror. This book is about sisters. This book is about sisterhood. Not just among kin, but like among women that need one another. This book is about the sisterhood among women. Pick it up. It is so good. I absolutely devoured this book, for lack of a better word, when you're talking about vampires and cannibals. What women will do for one another when there is a deep love of sisterhood. It was so good. I did not expect for this book to go this route. I expected blood, gore, and horror, and what I got was like a beautiful tale of sisterhood with some blood, guts, and horror. My other thriller on the list is Alice Feeney's Rock, Paper, Scissors. This had a major twist with like 2 more twists at the end, and I was like, I have been reading Alice Feeney for years. I have loved every book that I have read of hers. She's just wonderful. I twists, turns, all the things. Really enjoyed this book. I can't give too much away. This is like a couple that is like at the end of their marriage. It's like this weekend or it's over. They go away on a vacation. I believe the husband has a disorder where he can't see. He's got like a weird condition where he can't see faces. He can't recognize friends or family. He has face blindness. He can't recognize friends or family, even his own wife. And so this is something. This was a good one. There are a lot of twists and turns you don't see coming, but the main twist, like that one, took me out. I needed like a good whole night. Like when I read that first twist, the big one, I had to put the book down. I needed like a whole evening and the next day at work to like digest what I read before I could open this thing up again and keep reading. And even then I had to go back and read that chapter again because I was like, what did I had to go back and read like the chapter the chapters have like a little synopsis here, like not a synopsis, but like a little poem. I had to go back and read like a bunch of those again because I'm like, you got me twisted. I'm like, you've got me all sorts of twisted. So I had to do that. Now, I have a few that I don't have the physical book to because I either checked them out of the library or read them on my Kindle. So I'm going to run through those quickly. I read 2 books by Lucinda Berry this year that I also gave 5 stars to. The first one was The Perfect Child. It is about a family that takes in a foster child and all things go all wrong. It is not a horror. Lucinda Berry does not write horrors. She writes fiction. They're horrific fiction, but they're not horrors. This book goes, this adoption / fostering goes terribly wrong. It's a cautionary tale, but it's also a tale of like what happens when kids experience terrible things. I gave it 5 stars just because I give 5 stars to anything that makes me think that deeply, and that one stayed with me. The other one that a lot of people either love, not love, no, I don't think anybody loves this book, but that people either give 5 stars because it is well done in terms of how deeply it makes you think and the fact that she's able to write it from so many perspectives, or they give it like 1 star because they're like, absolutely not, there's no way you can write it from this perspective. But the book is Saving Noah. It is about a young man who is charged with fondling young girls, and this book is written from his mother's perspective as he grapples with being labeled a child predator, and how he goes about trying to go through the recovery process, if there is one, and what that does to their family. And I just thought it was, I think that she deals in like really touchy topics, and she has kind of like, if you've ever read Jodi Picoult, she's got kind of that ability to, Jodi Picoult has a way of doing like, it's not black or white, there's gray, there's always gray, and she makes you look at the gray in all her books. I think Lucinda Berry has a way of making you see the perspective of the dark in situations and not see only darkness there, or see dark for what it is, as a flaw, and see the struggle in that flaw, perhaps. I don't know how to explain it, but I appreciated the perspective. I appreciated her writing, her ability to write from that perspective, and so I gave that 5 stars. I also gave 5 stars to the fantasy book Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Brobent. I am reading the second one in the series right now. I can't remember the name. I was actually listening to that one on Audible, and my Audible for that ran out on the first, and when I had like 3 hours left in it. So I will probably purchase it now to listen to the last 3 hours because I need to know what happens. It's just a really good fantasy book. It's an epic fantasy. There's a little bit of romance in it as well, but I liked the battle of it. The main character is fighting for her independence, for the independence of her people, and for slaves everywhere, for people that are enslaved. I like the premise of it. I then read a horror book that I gave 5 stars, and I loved it because it is a vampiric horror, but it is more so a book about how we treat marginalized communities. The book is called The Gathering by C.J. Tudor. I absolutely love that book. I will recommend it to anybody. That book just gave like a vibe of, it almost felt like it takes place in Alaska. Vampires are living in the outskirts. Humans know they're there. Some people have been murdered. They think it is a vampire, but like now they want to do a culling of the entire vampire community, and so they've called an investigator in, and so it's like all this. It's kind of like they want to exterminate them, and like, are we going to allow them to do that? And what are the ramifications of that? And can we just exterminate, you know, a group of people, or in this case vampires, that we don't agree with? And so it's kind of like, how do we treat marginalized communities? Can we just shun people? Can we just exterminate them? Do we just get rid of things that we don't understand? I just thought that it was very fitting for these times. I thought that the book was very well written. There was a mystery, a murder mystery, but there was also like this essential question of how we treat those that we deem are less than us, you know, and who gets to make that decision of who's less than, you know. So I loved it. 5 stars all the way. The Great Alone by Kristy Hanna, also 5 stars. A Kristy Hanna book will mess you all the way up every time. I've yet to read one that doesn't leave me gasping for air at the end. The Great Alone is no exception to that rule. Girl with a very free-thinking mother, kind of wispy mom, moves to Alaska with their abusive husband and dad. Now they're out in the middle of nowhere. They have to survive these Alaskan winters, and she ends up falling in love, young love, and what happens next, and how this unravels as her dad loses his mind there, and kind of becomes paranoid. I think it's after Vietnam. It's a lot. It's a deep book. It's Kristy Hanna. It's 5 stars. That's what it is. The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morns. I wrote this down and I was sloppy. I will correct it here on the screen. The Tattooist of Auschwitz, I read super slow because it was on my Kindle, and I usually only read my Kindle reads once or twice a week when my husband is sleeping and I'm getting ready in the morning when his schedule shifts. So I can be super quiet, like as I'm curling my hair, I'm like flipping pages. So I read it awfully, like it was slow paced, but it was wonderful. I think what I liked the most about the Tattooist of Auschwitz, it was not just that it detailed the experience of the concentration camp in Auschwitz, but it also detailed quite a bit what happened to them after they left the camp. Like after they were set free, it wasn't like, oh, there's buses and trains waiting to take you back to your happy life. Like, no, it's like gates are open. Like, you're on your own. Like, go on. You don't even know where you are. And it's like, you know, how do we make our way back? How do we make a living? How do we escape? Like, and now, you know, the Russians have us now that, like, now I'm working here, I'm working there. How do we find one another? We've been separated. And I just thought it was so beautifully written. All the people that he helps along the way, and then to find out at the end of the book that it was based on real characters. It's just real people. Those characters were based on real people. Beautiful. The Girl Who Was Taken, a thriller by Charlie Donlea. That thriller, I listened to it on Audible while I was working. There's a few weeks at my job where I'm the only one there, and so I can listen to like an Audible while I do paperwork, and that's one that I had playing in the background, and it was so good. That had me hook, line, and sinker till the end. It's about two girls go missing. One is found, the other one is never found. Her sister, who was the last person she tried to call, and the sister never answered her phone, her sister grows up to become a coroner in hopes that one day it'll be her sister's remains that cross her slab. And she reaches out to the other girl that was found, and they try to solve this mystery together. And it's like this case that they're on together, and it's just a great thriller and shocking at the end. Then I also gave Ronald Malfi 5 stars for 4 different reads that I've had of his this year. I read Blackmouth, Bone White, Come With Me, and Ghost Written. All 4 of those got 5 stars for me. Come With Me is more of like a crime drama. Ghost Written are short stories all about writing. That is pick that up. If you like short stories, pick that up. He strings those short stories together magically at the end. When I saw how those short stories came together, I about passed out. I was like, this is ingenious. wonderfully done. Everybody seems to like Blackmouth the most. It reminds them a little bit of It. I think that that's where everybody gets that he is a lot like Stephen King, like he's the next Stephen King, or if you like Stephen King, you'll like Ronald Malfi. And I get that. I liked Blackmouth quite a bit. The ending to me felt a little too regular horror, I guess. And that's just not my thing anymore. For me, the best book I've read of his is Bone White. I forgot I was reading a dang horror until the end. And then I get to the end, I'm like, oh, yes, that thing. Oh, ooh, there it is. But the whole time, I was so invested in this guy and his missing brother. I mean, page turner. And then at the end, still, like, scary stuff is happening. I was, like, on the edge of my seat the whole time. But, like, there's something about it that's written like kind of like a thriller, kind of like a mystery, like you're trying to solve this missing persons case, and these spooky things are happening, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, like that thing, that, oh yeah, that is terrifying. And then it's like this realization at the end that like everything that you've kind of like denied the whole way is like, I don't know. It's just, it was, just read it. It's everything you think it is and everything you think it's not, all at the same time. Like whatever you're thinking it is and it isn't at the same time. So you're right and you're wrong, whatever you're thinking. It's just that good. I also read The Silent Corner by Dean Koontz, which I listened to an audio that same work week, thinking that it was going to be a Dean Koontz scary something. It was not. It was kind of like a government espionage kind of thing that ended on a cliffhanger. I might pick up the second one at some point. It was so good. I was legit worried that somebody was going to call me and make me like say something that was going to make me want to off myself, because it was all about a woman trying to like understand why her husband had ended his life, and she was tracking like other people that had done this, and it was all like they had received phone calls telling them to do this, or that said something, and the phone call triggered that reaction in them, but that was not their tendency. That was not who they were as people. And so she uncovers this like government conspiracy, and she's like trying to track it down and figure out what it is. 5 stars for that. 5 stars. And the audio, chef's kiss. It was wonderful. Loved it. Loved all about it. Not one dull moment in that book. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. In fact, I had to turn it off a few like hours in, because I was having a hard time keeping up with my work. So I'm like, okay, I'll finish this at home. And then I had to put on like some dull videos or something. So there was that. And I also gave 5 stars to Virginia Felt's Victorian Psycho. That book was great. I love that. That was like a horror. Gross, but great. It had a twist at the end that I didn't see coming. I didn't like the end, how it ends with the girls is all I'll say. So if you've read it, you know what I mean. If you have not, read it and then let me know if you like the way it ends with the girls. I don't. I had hoped that the girls to which I am referring would have ridden off into the sunset together and continued their life together. I don't know, but you know, whatever, it's not my book, right? I just didn't like that part, because I thought maybe they found a connection there in that ending, but I guess not. It's just my wishful thinking. And finally, the last book I gave 5 stars to was Paula Veen's To Speak for the Dead. That was a criminal thriller, a crime thriller, set in Miami. I could be wrong because I read 2 of his. I know the other one was definitely set in Miami. I think they both were. But that one was so good. Yes, that was set in Miami. That one was so good. That was also an Audible. It was just a lot of action and not what I expected. The ending, I love when a thriller, like you think you've got it all solved, you think that the author has already revealed the ending, and then all of a sudden, it's like the last few minutes of it, and then boom, they I think it was literally the last line, and they revealed something, and I was like, oh, well, dang, okay. Loved it so much that I actually like ended up, anytime I have to download something to listen to, a car ride or something, I pick up Paul Veen if it's available. Just great stories. They're quick and they're engaging, and always recommend. I do recommend his audios, his audibles especially. So those are my 5-star reads. As you can see, they are varied. I read whatever. There are not a lot of like rich literary text. I will say that I have some. I mean, I think my Gay Girl Prayers, my Elena Knows, Tusks of Extinction. I think that there were some deep ones in here. But I will say that there were some that I did not expect to be deep that ended up having deep qualities, which is probably what made me give them those 5 stars. For instance, Blood on Her Tongue definitely made me think deeply, as did Darling Girls. So anyway, those are my 5-star reads so far this year. Stay tuned. I will probably be putting out a video soon of like what I've read this week, probably Sunday night. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more videos. It has been fun. It's been real. I hope you like my video. Let me know what your top reads are for the year. I'm looking for a good book. Clearly, I don't have enough to do or read. So let me know what you've loved this year. I'd love to read some of your top picks too. And I'll see you soon. Bye.